welcome to the Latah Valley Fiber Co podcast. My name is Tiffany. Thank you so much for joining me today. It is September 4th and summer is dissipating, although it's really hot here. I live in Eastern Washington with my husband and our son, and it's about 98 degrees right now at 11 o'clock in the morning. So pardon me if I seem flustered. I took most of the summer off. We were really busy running around and vacations and family time and time at the lake. So I hope you'll forgive me for taking a hiatus, but I'm back at it now. And I have things to show you. I have some finished objects, a couple works in progress, and then I have one item that I really would like to frog. So we'll talk about that at the end, if you want to stick around to frog or not to frog. That is the question. So first things first, you can find me on Instagram at Latah Valley Fiber Co. You can check out my shop online, latahvalleyfiberco.etsy.com. And if you want to direct message me, lvfiberco@gmail.com. Let's talk a little bit about my shop. I have a yarn dyeing business that I run through Etsy, and I also am planning to do the Spokane Fleece and Fiber Festival here towards the end of September. It's the 20th and 21st. So if you're in the area, come see me there. I'll have new colorways as well as some old favorites. So please come, say hello, introduce yourself, and yeah, see all the yarn. I'm one of like 48 or 50 vendors, so it's a pretty good size venue, although I've never done it before myself. So it'll be new for me. I'm really excited about that. So let's go ahead and jump into some finished objects. I have quite a few. Because as I said a moment ago, it's been a little bit of time. My knitting mojo was down over the summer. I'm not quite sure why. Normally it's not. But we kind of had some parenting challenges. So I think maybe that I was preoccupied with that and didn't really have the brain power to knit, even though knitting is really easy, especially if you're just knitting stockinette. It's super easy. But I just didn't have the brain capacity to even want to knit. So I have a few items, but not a whole lot for the amount of time that I've been gone. I have socks, of course. And I have a vest that I have already knit a vest, but my sister-in-law was here visiting from Virginia, and I was showing her the gift items that I was gonna give to my nieces and nephews for their birthday, and she mentioned that, that vest looks a little small, especially around the neck where your head goes through. That's more for a baby. And so I had thought that it was a little small, but she confirmed it, so I knit another one. Exact same vest and everything. I just went up a size. This one was a 20 across the chest, and the new one is a 25 across the chest. So I have not blocked this yet. Yeah. Let's just start. That way we'll get through it together. This is the what pattern is that? Oh, Boys and Girls Back to School Vest by Ratcha. Ratcha. I'll list everything here. I used the Barocco vintage yarn from my son's sweater that I did last year. It's the colorway Smoke. So it is acrylic and wool, I believe, but I don't know what the percentage is on that. I should have checked on that. Maybe I'll list it in the description down below. The needle size I used around the trim, so here the neckline and then the cast on ribbing was 3.75, and then for the bulk of the sweater I used a 4.5 millimeter. The size for the second one was a 25-inch chest, and I cast on 51 stitches. This is a free pattern, by the way. If you want to check it out, I will have it linked below. And then, yeah, I started at 8.3 and finished at 8.31. So there's a few different things that I did with the second one, which I had made a note doing the first one, is that you pick up stitches to do the ribbing here as well as the neck, and then you don't knit in the round. You knit the back panel first, and then you knit the front panel, and you seam it together on the side. And the first one seemed fine, but I felt like if I slipped the first stitch of each round, I would have a better, to do the mattress stitch, I would have a better, more clear stitches to do that. So I did that with this. And then when I picked up here around the front, it looked really janky. Is janky a word? I use it all the time to mean not straight, kind of crooked. So I had picked up, and then I pulled back, and I ended up picking up the, instead of the V, I picked up the stitch in the back V, part of the V, if that makes any sense. So now I have this really pretty line here, which looks nice. It looks more finished, I think. So then so I did the arms first and figured that out. When I went to do the neck, I did the same thing. And so it has, along this line here, a more, it just looks crisper, like more finished, not so thrown together. So I like that. I did it along the front, and of course along the back, you didn't need that. So the cabling, sorry, words. The cabling is super easy to do, super memorizable. So I had lots of fun just dragging this around and doing that. On the smaller version, you do seam together the shoulders as well. I forgot to say that. So I just made sure that this pickup here looked really nice and not janky like it did on this one. On this one I just followed the directions, and I didn't think twice about it really. So I'm glad that I took the time to go, that doesn't look smooth. So for instance, on the neck here, maybe I'll do a close-up. On the neck here, it just is real choppy, as well as, well, on the sleeves, there's more yarn over here. So it just kind of flowed a little bit better. So that the sleeves actually, or the arms, look fine. It's the neck, really. So I'm saving that one for a baby. I may have to pull out the neck and just do it a little bit bigger, because if you look here, I don't even think well, like a baby's head might fit through that, but that's not very, it's pretty tight. So I am going to pull it out and add more stitches to the neck. That is one thing I did with this one also, is it said to pick up 60 stitches around the neck. I picked up 120. And that was just picking up every stitch. So 60 seemed really small. So I just went with, well, this is what I picked up and that's how I'm going to do it. So, yeah, with a collared shirt, wouldn't that look so cute? So this is for Hans for his birthday, coming up in a couple of months. So, the next couple of things that I have are socks. Shocker. Which ones did I do first? Let's talk about these. I've already gifted one pair of socks to my friend Nicole for her birthday. And I'll put a picture here. It's the pattern by Summer Lee Designs, the Colorwork Cuff Club for June, actually. I used my own hand-dyed yarn and scraps, of course. So for her, I cast on the 64 stitches, and then I knit a 2x2 cuff for 2 inches. The charts, I knit 4 rounds and then began the chart. I felt like it was too close to the ribbing. So I did modify that from what Summer had. And then I knit 1 round before starting the heel because the color work just went right into the heel. And I wanted it to be a defining line. So you can see that here. I did increase needle size from 2.25 to 2.75 for the color work because the color work was longer, and I tend to knit color work a little tight. So once I finished the color work, I dropped back down to the 2.25, which is my normal knitting needle size. I knit 7 inches and then started the toe. So I started those on 6/3, and it took me a while to finish them. 8/19. That's unheard of. I can get a pair of socks done in a week. So that took me a really long time. I'm not quite sure why it took me so long, or why. I remember I got one done and then the second one just took forever. I don't know if that's second sock syndrome. Possibly. Yeah. Okay. The next pair is also from Summer Lee Designs Colorwork Cuff Club. This one is for March. I used 2 Springs Fiber Arts Happy Feet sock set, and that was the pink and this main color. I had the white, so I just used that. Might have been Heritage, Cascade Heritage in white, I think. I used 2.25 millimeter on circular needles. I cast on 64, so that'll be a pair of women's socks. The cuff is 1 inch, and then I did knit 1 or 2 rounds, 1 round, and then started the color work. Which I think in the pattern you just go right into the color work once you're done with the cuff. So, oh, I did. I wrote it down. So the white is Cascade Heritage. Colorway 5682. And then I did increase, I didn't follow the pattern completely because, again, I didn't go up needle size. So I increased stitches in between the motif. I did 2 stitches per motif on the first round. I increased, and then when I came back around I decreased. I made a note. Even doing that, that was still too tight. So I pulled it out, increased my needle size to 2.75 and added 4 stitches total. I didn't think that looked like there were 2 in between there. 4 stitches total from 64 to 68. And then decreased to 64 after the color work. So I knit 6.5 inches and then started the toe. I started this on June 10th and I finished them on July 1st. So this will go into my gift pile. I was going through them the other day and I have a basket of gift knitting items and I actually have several pairs of socks in there. I've completely forgotten about them. So this sock by Two Springs Fiber Arts, she's local to Spokane. She dyes locally. She is on Etsy. I'll see about linking her. And this sock base is 75-25. So they should wear very well, which will be nice. Okay, next pair of socks. Let's see. I used the measurements for all 3 of these. All 3 of these? 2, 3, I did. Okay, so I used the measurements for the Tin Can Knits Rye Socks for the size toddler, not toddler, child. For all 3 of these. And yeah. So I realize I'm missing somebody's. I must have done them earlier and already talked about them? Oh yeah, June 23rd. Okay, well, because there's 4 children, 4 quads, the quads, yeah. Anyway, so this, I used the numbers for Tin Can Knits Rye Socks. Sorry, I've already said that. I can tell it's been a while because my brain is all over the place. So Emma is the pink stripes. This is Cascade, the white, and then the pink is left over from Two Springs Fiber Arts, Happy Feet. I had plenty left over, so I just went with socks, a pair of scrappy socks. So these are for Emma, and I've got both of them here. I used my normal 2.25 millimeter, cast on 52 stitches for size 4. And then I knit a cuff for 1 inch. And I knit the leg, total of 2 inches here, before starting the heel. Now the heel, I did the heel that they do in the pattern. However, I ended up not liking that. So for the rest of them, I did a heel flap and gusset that had the slip stitch heel, not the straight heel. Okay, so that is for Emma. I started them June 30th. I finished them July 8th. I think I had done Izzy's first on June 17th. I finished those ones on the 23rd. Okay, for Ava, she loves purple. So I knit her a pair of purple ones. This is left over from these socks. Okay, so Two Springs Fiber Arts Happy Feet. And I used the same, I cast on 52, I knit for 1 inch, and then I think I did a 3, knit leg 2 inches. So that's 3 inches total before starting the slip stitch, heel flap, and gusset. And then, yeah. So hers, I started July 1st and I finished them on the 14th. They're really cute. I actually like this pair a lot. I don't know if you noticed this, but look at this pair. It's weird. I don't know, it's got a lot of fabric right there. See, this one looks, well, that one's got a little bit of fabric. It looks narrower. I don't know. I knit the same size. Yarn. It changes things. And then this is really like, oh, so I did say that I used the Rye sock pattern, but I didn't do the patterning on the front. I just knit and then knit. So there is a pattern for that, but it's not on the, I didn't do that. And then for Hans, I did a ribbed pattern on the leg and foot. But I used all the same, this is polka dot sheep yarn. It's called Bear Tooth. Again, I used 2.25 millimeter circular needles, cast on 52. I knit 1 inch. And then I started, the ribbing is a 3x1 rib. So it'll give a little bit of ease, but it'll be snug too if he needs it to be snug. So I did the same heel flap and gusset that I always do, but I used the measurements for that Rye sock pattern. These I started the 18th of July and I finished 8/1. So these go really fast, kid socks. I am hoping that they fit. I didn't measure their feet at all. I just went by the size that was in the pattern. This should fit size or child age, whatever. So, okay, let's move along. That's it for finished objects. Nope, I have one more. I did do, my sister-in-law, she and her husband are missionaries in Spain, and she was in town July? Oh man, summer was a blur. The end of July, I think. She came into town for a friend's wedding, and my mother-in-law hosted a little get-together with a bunch of ladies to bless her, and we all gave her dish towels. So I, of course, knit one instead of buying one. Why buy one when you can make it yourself? So I did my standard Gramma's dishcloth. I used Dishy Twist in the azure color. I used 4 millimeter circular needles, and then I followed the pattern for the no holes on the edge. I used all the cotton yarn, so it's more of a towel instead of a dishcloth. So it was more towel size. I'll put a picture in here if I have it. Okay, so I started that on 7/24 and I finished it 7/26. That's right, she was here. I think I finished it the 26th, then I gave it to her the 26th. So, yeah. Okay. I have a couple works in progress. Let's start with my most long one. The one I've been working on the longest. It's a blanket. This pattern is by Purl Soho, specifically Jake Canton, and it's the mitered corner blanket. The yarn I'm using is the Woodland Tweed by Knit Picks. I don't know if you can see my temperature blanket right there. I knit that out of that yarn, but I had a ton of yarn left over, and it's bits and pieces of this and that color. So I thought, well, the only other thing to do is another blanket. So that's why I'm doing this one. Okay, so for that pattern by Jake Canton, he used fingering weight yarn, 2 strands of it. He used cotton, and he used the small squares, 3x3. Okay, so this yarn is worsted. It's alpaca, not cotton, and I did stick with the 3x3 size. Okay. Needle size I used to get that gauge was 4 millimeters. I used DPNs because it's easy to pick up. I used 2 DPNs, and then no, I used 2 total. So I'll pick up and then pick up, and that's all on 1 DPN. And then I use the other DPN to knit it. Okay, it's a free pattern. You can check it out on their website. I'll link it down below. I started down here with this lovely puke green color. And you knit across this way, like that. I have 16 squares total across. And then you come back over here and you pick up this one and then work across. The one on this side, you pick up differently than you pick up all the rest of them. So you have to remember that when you go to start, and I'm ready to start another row because I've finished. So I have this one you cast on, and again, this is a free pattern. Not giving anything away. You cast on purl wise, and then you purl the whole square. But over here, you pick up, and then you pick up this side, and then you knit, and you knit the rest. So, yeah. I think if you picked up knit wise this way, you would notice right off that, oh, that's wrong. So I would hope anyway. I haven't done that yet. So this is going to be just a little lap blanket. I'm not going to make it too big. But I do want it to, you know, it'll go like this on your lap. I have this specifically in mind for a very special person. So I would like to get it done. I would like to get it done before Thanksgiving. That way they can have it for the cooler winter months. Thanksgiving, it's pretty cool here most of the time. So that's kind of my hope for that, is to have it done. I started that on March 18th. Whew, I have not made it very far. The one square goes like 20 minutes. So I've been doing several a day just to kind of keep up on it. Oh, okay. I have cast on a new project, and it is the 4th of 4 that I needed to get done. Well, one of them ended up not working out, but I still kept it. This is the Dandelion dress by Petite knit. This is the 4th one I've knit of 3 that I needed. The first one was too small. So I'm using my own hand-dyed yarn. It's the mulberry sock, colorway mulberry, and this is 75/25 nylon, fingering weight, and this is organically dyed, which I know I'm hoping the color stays solid. I've never used mulberries before, but my sister-in-law brought some from Virginia for me to try, and the mulberries are like this really deep purple. It did not dye purple. It's kind of a bluey gray. So anyway, I have 3 skeins of it that I'm using because this is for Emma. Emma is tall and lanky. So the other gals are a little more petite and short. So I thought I needed to make hers a little bit longer. So I went ahead and did 3 skeins instead of my normal 2 skeins, just to be safe. Okay. I'm not very far. I've basically just cast on the neck. So I'm doing the shaping. This is the bodice. Well, this section is the neck, but I'm moving into the bodice of the dress. I'm doing increases by doing a make one. I think that's how she has you do it. Yeah, a make one. So at some point I will connect it in the back. So there'll be a shape like this, and then you put an I-cord on it and put a little button at the top. So maybe I'll show you one of the completed dresses if you want to see what it actually looks like in the back. So yeah, I've just started. I have until their birthday is the 1st of November, so I have a little bit of time, but the last several dresses that I did, my hands started hurting on the backside, so I wanted to be able to take my time and just work on it a little bit at a time. The bodice does not have the dandelion motif in it, so it's just knitting and purling at the moment. I can hardly wait to connect it so that I don't have to purl anymore. I am following the pattern. I went up a size. Not only am I knitting it longer, but I did go up a size. Everybody else is the 4th size, and her I'm doing the 5th size. So I cast on for that size. I'm using 2.75 circular needles. But again, at the moment, I'm just knitting down and purling back. And then somewhere in there, I make increases to get to the size for the bodice. So I started this yesterday, and so September, October. I'm hoping 2 months will be plenty of time. My hand won't hurt. Yeah. So I actually really love this yarn and color. I don't know how it's going to hold up because again, this is organically dyed. So I don't know how it's going to hold up long term, but it's pretty right now. So I'll show you that in a couple weeks, and hopefully the bodice will be done. Okay, final project, and one that I don't think I'm going to finish. In fact, I've already written it in my book that I'm going to frog it. But I did want to talk to you about it because it's not very often that I frog an item. It's not very often that I knit for hours and then go, I don't love this, I'm going to take it out. Now, I have done that, but then I just pick it up and re-knit it. Either it was the size was wrong or whatever. In fact, I did a whole dress, one of the Dandelion dresses. I knit the whole thing, and I was like, oh, this is way too small. You know, so I pulled the entire dress out and re-knit it. Now, that is a way to frog an item, but I don't very often knit a project somewhere in there and decide, I don't like it. I don't even like the project. I don't like the patterning. I don't like anything about it, and rip it out. But it has happened. I think this might be the first or second time that it's happened to me. None of it is fun to do. It's not exciting. I don't pick it up. It's been on my needles for a long time. I don't go to it. I just, yeah. So I have decided that I'm going to frog it. And you may be wondering, or maybe you've already figured out which one it is, because I haven't shown it in a while. This pattern is by Purl Soho. It's the Hopscotch dishcloth and towel set. The designer is Deborah Newton. And the yarn I'm using is Lion brand Re-Up in the Portobello colorway. Here you go. So I've had this yarn for a long time because I wanted to make a summer top with it. Well, I couldn't find a summer top that I liked. And when I did, Joann's was done. So I couldn't go get another one of these. Now, Lion Brand, you can find this. I went and found it on their website. So if you go specifically to lionbrand.com, you can find the yarn that Joann used to carry. But I decided to do something else. And that was this. I am on the towel, not the washcloth. And this is all the farther that I've gotten. So I used the edging here you cast on is 4 millimeter. That's this section here. And then the rest of it is 4.5, which that is what I have, I'm pretty sure. Yep. So I followed the pattern. I cast on, for the hand towel, 110 stitches. And I've knit this, oh, I started this on my birthday, June 2nd. Okay. And I don't know what it is about this pattern. I don't like how loose the weave is. I feel like the needle size should be smaller. Actually, even smaller than a 4. The 4 is just a little too, it's not, you know how dishcloths should be dense? Anyway, in my mind, that's what I have, because they're going to be sopping up and cleaning a bunch of stuff. So if you have this open fabric, you know, it just, I don't know. I think, so that might be part of it. But I also, the pattern itself is not intuitive. So you're doing a pattern here that's different than the pattern here. And they change every row. So you're trying to keep up with that. And it just wasn't fun at all, because I don't know, I just didn't enjoy the pattern and having to always read. Like, eventually you don't have to look at the pattern eventually. Not with this. With this, I have to look at the pattern, make sure of where I'm at, that I'm moving one stitch over and then carrying up the patterning. So I don't know. I haven't loved that either. I don't pick it up because it's just not fun to do. So I am ripping this out. In fact, I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to start by taking it off the needles with you all present, because yeah, this is cotton yarn, which cotton is, it doesn't give as you're knitting it, so it's a little bit harder on your hands to do. Although I didn't really notice that very much as far as pain or anything like that. But again, I barely knit on this. I would do 2 rounds and I'd be like, and I'd put it down and go do some socks or a blanket or, anything else. So I think if you're at that point in your project and it's been months, maybe you should just pull it out and start something different. Say, well, that was a good try, but I'm moving on. So the question I had for you all, you people who knit and crochet, actually, you could do this for sewing too. I have several sewing projects where I have the bodice done, but the skirt, it's waiting for me because the bodice was so unpleasant to do. I'm like, I want to add the skirt onto this thing. So I suppose for sewing, you could have projects that are just hanging out, waiting. So that is my question for you. How do you handle projects that are just sitting and sitting and sitting, and you're not knitting on them and not working on them? You don't want to pick them up. You don't want to work on them. You just throw them in and toss them. Or do you hang on to them in the hopes that in a year or two, you might want to pick it back up? I don't know. It's a good question. I feel like some people don't frog at all. They just finish the project regardless of how long it takes them or if they even like it or not. So, is that you? I don't know. I do have a vest that I'm knitting with my own hand. I spun it from a fleece and then I dyed it. And it's, I want to frog it, but I don't want to reuse the yarn. So I think I'm just going to throw it away. Like take the needles out and all that and get my project bag back. But I don't want to do anything with the yarn. It was one of my first spinning projects, so the yarn was ropey and very thick and thin, and I thought, oh, how can I use this? Well, I'll do a vest and blah, 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 blah. Well, it's just horrible to knit with. So why keep it around? Plus I was dyeing with indigo and it wouldn't set because I probably did something wrong. And so every time I knit with it, my hands are just blue. And my needles that I have on there are wooden needles. They're blue now. So maybe I'll just throw the whole project away, including the needles. I don't know. But that is one thing I do need to go through as we go into a new fall and winter part of the year, is organizing my own personal stash. Now, I have yarn to sell, but that's already organized. It's in bins, it's perfectly fine. But my own personal stash is a catastrophe. I have shelves with yarn on it. I have bins with yarn in it. And it's just all over the place. It's not organized by weight or anything. So I do need to do that. I may take you along with me. That would be maybe fun. I don't know. Okay, so that's it for the knitting content. I did want to talk about future vlogs. I like showing my projects. But I don't know that people are always interested in seeing what I'm knitting. I get motivated to knit something or inspiration to knit something by watching other people pull out their projects and go, check it out. You know, I go, oh, that's really nice. You know, they talk about the yarn they're using, so that makes me go, oh, I have that yarn, or, you know, this is something I could do with that. So for me, I get inspiration. I don't necessarily know if you all get inspiration from me, because I don't get a lot of like interaction with, you know, people, what they're working on. They don't even say hi. They watch my video and move on with their life. So part of my brain is like, I need to do something that's a little bit more engaging, like a tutorial. I did that a couple months ago, put up a tutorial, and people loved it. You know, that's kind of my thought. I would like to do a planning video, and I may do that next week, a planning video for what I would like to knit going into fall and winter. So that could be, I have this list that I made at the beginning of the year in January, and I've not knit any of these. Not a single one. So I've knit other things and added a bunch of things, not specifically to this page, but to my Ravelry I've added. But I haven't knit from that list that I started in January. So I would like to get the yarn and just plan it out and maybe talk to you all about that. So look for that sometime this month. Otherwise, I think I'll see you in a couple weeks. I'm going to keep with the every 2 week. I homeschool my son, so that takes up a lot of my personal time during the school year. So he goes to an enrichment program on Thursdays, which is why you're not hearing him and he's not here doing school. So that works out for me pretty good. So I think I'll keep that up. So twice a month for ever. No, not forever. I don't know. For as long as I want to do it, I guess. Okay. I guess that's it. Now I'm just rambling because it's been forever. So I hope you all finish out your summer projects as best you can and have fun knitting your fall projects. I will see you in a couple weeks, and until then, happy knitting.